Ever had a neighbor so entitled they treat your yard like their personal toy? Yeah, me too. Except I didn't just sit there and take it. I turned my backyard into a battlefield, and let's just say, I won. With poetry and poop. This is the story of how I launched a smear campaign literally, and got justice in the stinkiest, most satisfying way possible. If you've ever dealt with a disrespectful neighbor, or just wanted to stick it to someone who thought they could walk all over you, this story is for you. Smash that like button, subscribe for more real stories, and let's dive into what might be the most bizarre but beautiful revenge tale you'll hear today. A couple years ago, I bought my very first home. Cute little place in a quiet, leafy suburb. You know, the kind where kids ride bikes, every third house has a garden gnome, and people wave from their porches with coffee mugs that say stuff like lie, laugh, love. It was everything it hoped for, peaceful, friendly, finally mine, except for one neighbor, Rick. Now Rick was a vibe, and not the good kind. Imagine if Florida man got a mortgage. He owned a grills, wore cargo shorts year-round, and treated shirts like optional accessories. I once saw him drinking a Coors Light at 10 a.m. while blasting classic rock and attempting to grill bacon. In the driveway, Rick didn't believe in boundaries. Literally, his whole attitude was that property lines were, quote, just a suggestion. And unfortunately, he also owned a dog. A very large, very happy, very regular dog. Duke was a golden retriever. Sweet face, wagging tail, and apparently a digestive system timed like Swiss clockwork. Every morning, like clockwork, he would trot into my yard and drop a monster-sized, steaming pile of what I can only describe as hatred and wet dog food. And here's the kicker, not behind a bush, not discreetly off to the side, nope. Duke would lock eyes with me like some kind of furry warlord and unload dead center in my front lawn, like it was sacred ground, like my grass was his throne. First, I gave Rick the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he'd be cool about it. So I walked over one morning, politely, trying not to sound annoyed. Hey Rick, I think Duke's been leaving some surprises in my yard. Mind keeping him on a leash or cleaning it up? Rick, who was wearing a tank top that said Weekend Warrior and reeked of beer and grill smoke, just grinned. It's all nature, bro. You don't own the earth. Oh, we're doing that. I try everything. I patched the back fence. I installed a motion-activated sprinkler. I even sprinkled citrus peels. Apparently dogs hate citrus. You know who didn't care? Rick. In fact, he laughed when he saw the sprinkler and shot it across the yard. One day, I was out front scooping yet another pile of Duke's digestive art when it hit me, literally and figuratively. If I can't stop the poop, maybe I can use it. So I started collecting, not just tossing it in the trash. Oh no, this was for something bigger. Home Depot bucket, trash bag liner, scooper, and a little bit of water too, a maintained texture. Over the next 2 weeks, I built what could only be described as a cursed stew. A pungent, sludgy soup of pure, undiluted Duke. This wasn't just revenge. This was installation art. Early Saturday morning, when Rick was out running errands, I launched Operation Stink Lines. I took my bucket of misery and painted the border of Rick's yard, not the front, where it might get cleaned. No, I targeted his holy land, around his fire pit, along his deck, right next to his precious second grill. I sprinkled that crap like fairy dust. A full circle of shame. Hours later, I was sitting on my porch, sipping coffee, when Rick walked out and immediately gagged. What the hell is that smell? I didn't even look at him. Smells like nature, bro. But I wasn't done. Our neighborhood had a Facebook group mostly used for garage sale posts and passive-aggressive HOA rants. I started posting daily lost dog poop updates. Each one was worse than the last. Found, steaming pile of mystery near my mailbox. Possibly a golden retriever's. Message me if this is your property. Update, third deposit this week. Possibly marking territory. Thinking of charging rent. The post got likes. People commented. Some laughed. Others came forward. Turns out, Duke wasn't just targeting my lawn. No, Duke had been going full scorched earth across the whole neighborhood. Top it off, I started making tiny "do not poop here" signs. Handcrafted masterpieces. Popsicle sticks, glitter, googly eyes, and most importantly, haikus. Dear Duke the Pooper, this is not your golden throne. My grass feels betrayed. Nature is lovely, except when it's on my shoes. Please stop the landmines. I stuck them all around the yard, each more absurd than the last. I stuck them all around the yard, each more absurd than the last. Rick was livid. He marched across the yard one day, fuming, red-faced. Are you trying to make me look bad? I blinked, innocent. Rick, I don't need to try. The neighborhood turned on him. One by one, neighbors started calling him out. Some privately messaged me. Others chimed in on the Facebook threads. Apparently, Duke had pooped in a sandbox, on a lawn flamingo, even next to someone's vegetable garden. The final nail. The HOA sent Rick a formal letter citing multiple complaints and encouraging pet responsibility compliance. Final nail. The HOA sent Rick a formal letter citing multiple complaints and encouraging pet responsibility compliance. Rick had to install a fenced-in dog run in his backyard. And nah, Duke is always leashed. No more it's nature, bro. Now it's leash baggies and quick walkies. And me? I still make those little haiku signs. For fun. For art. For justice. Sometimes, justice doesn't come with a gavel. Sometimes, it comes in a bucket and smells like poetic irony. Never underestimate the quiet neighbor with a sense of humor, a strong stomach, and a deep love for petty revenge. If this story gave you a little too much joy, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deliciously satisfying revenge stories. And let me know in the comments, what would you have done in my place? Ever had a neighbor from hell? Let's hear it.